Hello, I'm Shannon with Fineline Applicators. Thank you for joining me here today. I'm very pleased to have Lisa Frances Judd here with me to answer a few questions about her artwork and how she uses Fineline Applicator. So, Lisa, thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Shannon.
Wonderful. Well, I have some questions for you. So, first up, can you tell me how you initially got into painting and how your style has changed throughout the years?
Okay, I've basically been painting pretty much for about a decade or just under. And I started painting after I had a back injury, which turned into a surgery. And basically, after many, many years of not picking up a paintbrush or a pencil or whatever, I started to draw and paint again and fell back in love with art, which I loved as a child. And that's really how it all started. And then from there, people started liking my work and I started selling a few pieces and I just became quite prolific at painting.
Oh, very nice.
Style wise, I have, my work is quite whimsical and, quirky at times. A lot of people will say that some of my work is quite quirky. So I guess, but I also do modern contemporary too.
Yeah. Well, how do you find your inspiration for the pieces that you create?
Most of it comes from my crazy internal imagination. I have a very vivid imagination, Shannon, and I like to see the world as I want to see it rather than how it is. So I'm not drawn to painting a tree as we see a tree when we look out the window. I like to do it in my own way with a lot of imagination and colour. My imagination is a big thing, and also sometimes dreams. I do get inspired from some of my dreams too. So it's really my inner life coming out.
Oh, very nice. Well, I'm looking at those beautiful paintings behind you, and I know that you use some fine line applicators to make a few of those. How do you like to use fine line applicators, and how do you think that's helped, with your painting's outcome?
Okay, I love fine line applicators. I'm really, really happy that I came across them. They have helped me so much with this style of painting that you see behind. It's very tactile. It's all full of textures and impasto. And the fine line applicators help me. I work with a blend of acrylic paints and other mediums that I've developed myself that works for me to create almost like a 3D effect with fine lines and outlines, very feminine, very gentle, very fragile sort of lines. And I love being able to do that with the applicators.
Oh, very nice. Well, we're happy to hear that, and thank you for the good feedback. Do you have a preference between whether you like the standard tip or the fine tip or the oval bottles versus the cylinder bottles?
Look, they're all wonderful, but my favourite would be the fine tip and the standard bottles. But I do use the regular tip as well. It just depends. Like for if I'm doing a lot of grasses or very fine details on my wild flowers, like the stamens coming out of them, things like that, I'll use the very fine applicator. If I want a stronger line, I will use the regular because it's a bit thicker. You can also use the regular to create filled-in shapes as well that look fantastic. So each of them has their place, really, but I really do like that regular bottle. That's my favourite.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Well, the series that's behind you, the Wildflower series, was just selected for an international showcase. So congratulations for that. That's just really fantastic. Can you tell us a bit more about how what inspired you for the series and what influenced you to create it?
Well, the Wildflower series really came, as I said, a lot of my paintings come from my inner life. And in the case of the wildflowers, it was me actually going through a little bit of a rough time internally where I was dealing with some old childhood issues, and don't we all have them, hey? And as I was doing that, the wildflowers emerged as a symbol for me of hope and moving forward and freshness. And I love flowers, and I do paint flowers a lot anyway. But wildflowers are just, they're free and they're everywhere and they're abundant. So it's a really good, a good subject to sort of, expansion and freedom and moving forward. That's what they mean to me. So that's where it really came from.
Oh, that's really such a beautiful story, and we certainly go through. Everybody just goes through ups and downs throughout their life. So blossoming, and I totally get how that all ties in together. So wonderful. Now you produce lots of different types of artwork with lots of different styles and different techniques.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the other techniques that you like to use with your paintings?
Oh, gee, I use all sorts of things, Shannon. I mean, obviously paintbrushes, obviously Fineline applicators, but I also use, things like, credit cards. Old credit cards can be a wonderful tool. So you use them for scraping, and I use things to flick paint onto canvases sometimes. Sometimes I literally use my fingers as well. So lots of different ways of working with paint, not just your traditional, hold a paintbrush. It frees you up, and I would encourage anyone who's interested in art themselves to try these new things. Even things from your kitchen cupboard can be really useful for making marks in painting. There's all sorts of things. I mean, I've even used potatoes, right? The potato stamping when you're a kid.
Yeah.
I've even used that in some of my, very successful paintings, actually. There's all sorts of things that you can use to get different marks and different effects in paint.
Very cool. Now, how do our followers find out more about your work? And do you do commissions? Can you tell us where to find out, purchasing for your products and paintings and all that?
Sure. Look, anyone can go to my website, which is just lisafrancesjudd.com. That's Frances with an ES, by the way, not an IS. A lot of people get that confused because the male spelling is Frances with an I and the female spelling is Frances with an E.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the latter, obviously. So lisafrancesjudd.com. You can also just type up my name into Google. Seriously, I've been doing this, as I've said, quite a long time, and you'll see things come up all over the place. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Very good.
And, I work with companies where I license my artworks into craft kits and cross-stitching, and I've actually just been approached by a big US company, actually, news, for getting involved in my art going on to prints, in a big way. So, it's not signed on the dotted line yet, but it's coming. So that's very exciting.
Very nice. And you also are on Instagram and Facebook as well, so people can find you there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
cool.
Instagram and Facebook. I'm also on Pinterest. You'll find me on Pinterest as well. But for my art, Instagram, Pinterest, I do have my art on Pinterest, but I do a lot of other just stuff I like on Pinterest. It's quite addictive, really.
Yeah.
And Facebook, well, I'm on Facebook as a profile, and I also have an artist page, which people will be able to find as well. Just type in my name and it'll come up.
Wonderful. Well, we'll link all your websites and all your info when we share this video. So thank you so much, Lisa, for your time today. We really appreciate. We can't wait to see what other pieces you come up with in the future. So we'll continue to follow your work.
Thank you so much, Shannon. It's been a delight to have a chat with you today.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Bye.
Bye.